So I'm Jeremy. I'm a sales engineer in Guerrand, the company that is behind Calico CNI. And today we are going to talk about a few security design and best practices about container environments. Actually, I'll have a second call, a talk tomorrow for a demo. So today it will be only for the presentation. So the agenda, Calico is everywhere. Application modernization, container security, network segmentation, best practices for securing a Kubernetes environment, monitoring, and tomorrow we'll see the demo. So let's start. Calico is everywhere, so you probably heard about it already. So Calico offers a pure layer 3 approach to virtual network for containers in Kubernetes environment, and it's used for security and it's highly scalable. So Calico is a free and open source product. It's a CNI with policy networking, security policies, and it's for containers, virtual machine, hosts in general. So we support most of the architecture. So we support like AKS, EKS, Rancher, Windows nodes, OpenShift. So it's a product that can be installed everywhere. So we say pluggable data plane that works. So why that? Calico offers 4 pluggable data planes, the standard one. So it's IP tables, the classic one. So it's proved, it works. It's been used for decades. It's compatible with most of the environment. Nothing special to say about it. We've got the new one, eBPF. So people are hearing this buzzword a lot recently. So eBPF, like IP table, is a commodity. So it's a new way to do networking. So it has blazing performance. You can remove your kube proxy. You can keep your source IP preservation, dynamic source routing. So that's the new kid, in the garden. VPP and Windows. So Windows, if you're using Windows nodes for some workloads, Calico can also use the HNS from Microsoft. And VPP is the new one. Networking experience by utilizing the power of user space programming. So it's in beta at the moment, but it works. You can try it. So let's move to the next one. Or just for your information, do you see the 2 logos, Calico Cloud and Calico Enterprise? So that's the commercial offering. So if you're looking for more features, support, professional services, Guerrand is also providing 2 enterprise products. So we're going to start with application modernization. So yeah, it's flicking actually, so I'll get the SIP. That's what she said. So let's go back to the application. So back in the day, in the physical server era, we had everything compiled together. It was everything in one server. Maybe we had a database somewhere else. It was the old way to do things. Then we shifted to the virtualization. So virtualization was a bit more easy for the people to create multiple front-end because you can just use a template and deploy multiple virtual machines. But at the end, it was still the same structure. You got your database, multiple front-ends, but it was still operating systems. You depend on the system. You use a lot of resources. Lot of your virtual machines, they were just idling. And it was kind of, that's the old world, the monolithic applications structure. So with the new modernization, we'll have to refactoring, replatforming, and rebuild every single applications into a container. So the big question now is, why would we want to go to this kind of cloud infrastructure? Okay, better. So what is application modernization? So the legacy applications, it was kind of difficult to maintain, to update, less secure, and massive piece of software. So what does it mean? It means that in terms of maintenance, we had always operating system, and we had maybe physical servers. Difficult to update because sometimes the products, they are old. We use old softwares. They are not, they are in end of life. It's kind of a nightmare, sometimes you need to add a second front end and add it to a load balancer. It's kind of manual task, and it takes a lot of energy to do it, and it's prone to mistakes, like human mistakes, configuration mistakes, etc. And at the end of the day, it costs also more because you have more servers, so more electricity, more licenses for the OS, and so on. And security was also a concern because you were updating your softwares less often, and you had a lot more dependencies, like the operating system and some other tools. So at the end, security was a concern. The modern application, it's good on the paper, but it also has some drawbacks, like investment in people. It's a new thing, you need new skills, new knowledge, so it's not perfect too. You have to rethink about your processes, how you're going to update, install, test, decommission applications, the new communications between the teams, trying to get a frictionless environment for your team to work together. And it's just a new technology. So that's how it looks today. It's all over the place. It's kind of a mess. We've got microservices everywhere. What we've done is we just broke down the server and its application, and all the tiny components of the application is just tiered down into one container, one component. Why would we do that? The point is, in an application, maybe you have the front end, like your website, that is heavily used every single day. But maybe when you buy something and you put it in your cart or the checkout service, maybe it's only 1 out of 20 users that are buying something for real. Okay? You remember it's all the services everywhere. So the idea is, if I have 20 users or 200 users, but only one is buying, maybe I can just scale up the front end microservice and just keep 1 or 2 microservices for the checkout or the cart. So that's the idea. It's just to optimize as much as possible the cost and the utilization of computing. So that's what modernization in application is actually. So on the paper, it's perfect. It's pure optimization, and it makes sense. So now we have other concerns, new way to work, new technology, new processes. You will lack of observability, of security, of tools. So that's what we're going to talk today, securing the environment. So we can start from the images. When you modernize an application into a container, the container is inside an image to be ready to be deployed. So the security journey will start by scanning your images. So the container image contains all the applications, the libraries, the dependencies that your application needs, that microservice needs. So you can scan your image, and you can have, kind of an admission control that will tell you there is a vulnerability in this container, so in this image, so just don't deploy it. Like I showed you earlier, we have like dozens of microservices, so it means you may have a dozen of images for one application. So one of those can get a vulnerability. But it's much better for you because you don't have to review all of the application, but just a fraction of the application. So in terms of updating, securing, it's much easier. But it's a bit harder to detect because you have to scan all your images. So that's why you need the image scanner. The second part of the container is they are tiny. They contain only what you need, the binaries, libraries of this microservice. So you don't have extra useless things. Like in your operating system, you have a lot of services that you may not use for this application. So in the container, you have exactly what you need. So it makes it even more secure because you have less components, so you have less room for a security breach. So now the images, you can scan them, but you also have to host them somewhere. So that's why we have image registry. So we have two approaches there, the public and the private image registries. So the public one makes sense, it's just available. It's kind of free, very easy to maintain. You can just put your images or grab your images from there. It's pretty straightforward. It's perfect for small projects, small companies where money, is very important. And in the other hand, we have the private image registry. So I would say it's more for the fintech, bank, or governments in general, because they have to be compliant. Privacy is very important to them because they may have, intellectual properties. They don't want their images to go and be leaked on internet or unauthorized used. So that's why you've got those two approaches. So now we're going to talk about network segmentation. So time for a sip. It's pretty warm. It wasn't that warm like 5 minutes ago. So segmentation tools with Calico. We are the CNI, Container Network Interface, and we have a policy engine to secure your environment. And we can talk about the networking. So you can, in Kubernetes, your network is kind of flat. It's open to everything. You don't have like VLAN, proper switches, physical wires to segment all of that. Everything is in the same basket. So you have to find a way to create this kind of DMZ architecture, zone-based architecture. You have to find a way to segment every single thing to isolate your workloads. So we can use the namespaces, labels. With the security policies, we can allow, deny some of the workloads to talk to each other. And we can also use the RBAC roles. So let's go to best practices for securing a Kubernetes environment. So here it's another example. It's a bit more pictured than just talking on the feature itself. So what's happening here is Kubernetes will have some network policy available to segment the network between the pods. But it's not really Kubernetes that is doing the job. Kubernetes is just delegating that to the CNI. So it means if you use Calico, Cilium, VPC, or Azure CNI, it's that engine that will do the job. But now, why would you use Calico instead of something more generic? So the idea is Calico is the CNI and the policy engine as well. And it can clearly block the traffic, like deny or allow, at a different level, like on the interface of the pod. So we have what we call a policy resource, and we can allow, deny the traffic based on those segmentation tools I said earlier, the namespace. We've got the namespace, the labels, and there's something we can do that is also a global network policy. So the idea is we can also create rules, policy rules, that will affect the whole cluster. And on top of that, we can also do policies on the host level. So for non-workload traffic. So that's an addition to the Kubernetes policies. And we've got the Calico cat a bit everywhere, basically. Another thing we can do is the monitoring. So monitoring is critical. We obviously know why it's really critical, because if you don't see the problem, you don't have a problem until everything is broken. So it's very, very important to see what's going on. So with Calico, we'll be able to see what's going on between your workloads. We can picture a communication between pod A to pod B. And then if we block something with the policy, we can see what's blocked as well. So it's quite critical. And let's go to the next one, method of monitoring. So infrastructure monitoring. So we can look at the pods, the nodes, sorry, and we can also look at the application layer. So that's where Calico shines. We have what we call the service graph, which is a map that is going to map all of your pods traffic. You're going to see all the flow logs, and those flow logs can also be exported into a Kibana, like an Elastic. That's something that is very useful for the new users right now, because they are kind of blind. And that's why Calico Cloud and Enterprise exist, just to add a user interface on top of the CNI. So application monitoring, we can see on top of the network between the pods, we can also enable layer 7. So we can see what's going on within the layer application, which is quite good because it means we can use some advanced features such as WAF. A WAF that is workload centric. So it means the WAF will check what's going on between the pods and not outside of the cluster. Because outside of the cluster, you may have, a big F5 or something doing the WAF in general. But what's going on within the cluster? So that's why we have the WAF for that. And we can have like a DPI, deep packet inspection, IPS, IDS. So all those tools that will be that will help you to find out what's going on within the cluster. So there's a demo. The demo will be for tomorrow. So tomorrow, I think it's 2 p.m. again, or 11. So we can go for question and answers. Thank you.
It's like a real cliffhanger there. You can go to the demo tomorrow.
Yeah, it was a bit fast.
That's okay. If it's fast, it just means that there's more time for questions. Which is the best part of any presentation, right? And I see one question, so that's good. Right. Which features make Calico stand out from its competitors, such as Cilium? And please keep your questions coming.
Okay, so the main difference here is Calico is kind of a plug-and-play solution. So, for instance, you install your cluster with Calico CNI. It works, it's open source, but what if you want all the observability features I was saying, like the WAF, DPI, etc. If you choose Calico, you can just connect it to Calico Cloud, which is a SaaS offering. So you just connect it install a few little pods on your cluster, and when it's connected, you'll have, within 5-10 minutes, a fully deployed Calico Cloud environment, and you'll be able to see everything with the web UI. You'll be able to enable the features in just a few clicks, and you can also see the layer 7 and so on, and the image scanning. That will be the big difference with Cilium, I would say, just the ease to deploy, and it's all in one package. Cilium is more like a do-it-yourself approach, so it's maybe perfect for techies or companies, like Google that has like hundreds of engineers. But in the world, sometimes we are short on resources, like human people and skills. So that would be the main difference, I would say.
Excellent. All right, and I think sort of following on that, what features are exclusive to the enterprise version?
So enterprise version basically will have the layer 7 visibility with the WAF DPI intrusion detection. So everything that is security. Calico open source is really made for the network. We can do node encryptions, but when it comes to pure container security, it's where Calico Enterprise will shine. So it means security for the container, like image scanning, but also we have eBPF probes in the containers that can check, the syscalls, privilege escalations, and all those malicious activities within the container. And on the other spectrum, the network side will have known and unknown threats on the network. So we cover basically the full spectrum of container and network security, known and unknown.
Right, just out of my curiosity, how many Calico users are actually in the room, cloud or enterprise or otherwise?
Few of them.
Count a quick 6 or 7. Okay, so that was nice. The rest of you have all come here to figure out how to do that. That's good. All right, so let's do one more question.
I should have gotten a beer.
Such a well-behaved crowd. Thank you for remembering to applaud whenever someone takes a sip. All right. Let's see. We do one more question. Are you down with one more question?
Yeah.
All right. Are features like monitoring available on all versions of Calico?
That's enterprise and cloud. Actually, we are working on a project to provide a lightweight web interface for Calico open source, but you'll have to migrate to Calico Cloud free tier. It's a project that will come in the next few months because we understand some people, they must use open source because for cost, for budget. So we have to give them a taste of what they missed from enterprise. So there will be something coming next year, I believe.
Right. I like this one. Can we use the enterprise version in ring-fenced environments?
Say it again. Sorry.
Can we use the enterprise version in ring-fenced environments?
Like green phase?
Ring-fenced.
What's that? Show me on the phone. I don't know the term ring fence.
Maybe the person who's asking this question can come up to you later, and you can have a little conversation.
I can also get the answer for tomorrow's call.
Perfect.
Tomorrow's talk.
Do we have anything fun? Is there a potential attack vector if an attacker injects a payload into Calico or other competitors?
I didn't get it.
I feel like these might go into the break. Shall we go into a little break and people can come up to you on stage? He's going to be here for a while longer because we need to unplug the laptop and everything. And then we're back for the next talk in 20 minutes. So you have a little bit of a break. It's warm, so get yourself a drink too.
Thank you, everyone.